Every bee serves the hive, not itself. Every role, no matter how small, sustains the whole. Here, former and present journalists gather like bees, drawn to what's raw, real, and sweet. Each story is a drop of nectar, gathered from the wild fields of experience, spun into something golden. From the sting of truth to the sweetness of healing, this is where we build the hive. Bees don't question their purpose, they simply build. They gather light from the broken things, turn it to sweetness, and leave the world better than they found it. We do the same. One story, one truth, one drop of honey at a time. This is the Honey Pot, where words heal, hearts rebuild, and purpose buzzes loud. The Honey Pot is brought to you by Madrala Law Firm, your legal team for life's unexpected stings, and by TrueCore Wellness, helping you heal from the inside out. Together, they keep our hive strong. Hey, honeys. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Honey Pot. Today, we are joined with Gina Cancelliere. Well, Gina and I worked together in the newsroom here in Lafayette.
No, definitely not there.
Not there.
No.
Here in Las Vegas. Wow,
There.
I totally went back in time on that one.
That's what I do for you. I'm like a time warp.
You are. Every time we get together, it's just like it transforms me back into a time, back into my news days.
Yeah.
Whichever newsroom it was.
It doesn't
we
matter.
worked together. But we did work together for quite some time.
We did.
You are not in news anymore, Gina. Neither am I. All good things for both of us, by the way.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I left news. I technically left in 2008. And I had 10 years go by.
Okay.
And then I was called by a station here in Las Vegas. Can you come fill in? And I'm like, look, I am a completely different person now. I have 3 kids. I have not been in front of a chroma key or green screen or whatever you guys call it now for 10 years. Can I do this?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I went and I tried and I could do it. And I did it for now coming up like 10 years. So I had that span of not being able to do it because I was raising a family to,
Sure.
hey, like we need some fill in. Are you able to fill in? So I do still fill in. It's just somebody has been hired permanently now. So I don't need to come at this moment.
Okay.
But I'm open to coming back. You know, like it's like a hobby.
It is. And I think, you know what, you were also on a very different side of news, right? You were in the
Weather.
meteorology side of it. So you weren't necessarily out in the field, which you were, I'm sure, on weather stories, but not so much.
Not really. It was more like, let's horse around. I remember, one of the like Christmas things. Go out, like it's the lighting of the whatever. Can you go out and do the weather there? Sure. That's when I would be out. I was never out because I needed radar. Like I needed my maps for weather events. I needed to be in studio. So I was never out in the field for that stuff. I was just out in the field to like horse around.
Okay.
And have a good time.
That's one way to be in news.
Yeah, it was fun. That was fun.
Well, take me back to how you got started in news, because like you said, you were in news, you left news, you took some time off, and then now you kind of had this great setup where you were filling in.
Yeah.
That
really
turned
nice.
into almost a full-time job.
Yeah.
Which wasn't, but it was.
But it wasn't. But it was a filling, like a permanent fill-in.
Yeah.
If that's a thing.
In news it is.
Yeah. Yes. Very true. Freelance. Like a permanent freelancer. That's technically, yeah. And I was okay with that because I had, a husband and I had support to enable that. Sure. Otherwise, I don't know how you do it. How do you do that?
Lots of prayers and tears.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense otherwise.
No.
Because I had him for all the benefits, health insurance, like all those things. I had a fully employed spouse. Still do. But for me to be able to go there and do this for a per diem, you have to have that. And a lot of people don't, and TV stations still offer that, but I don't know how anybody makes that work.
I think in this generation, I think all we're trying to do is really survive, right? And so I know that a lot of us, even those that have left news, I've got friends like Zora who has picked up kind of per diem jobs too with certain stations, and it's great for her.
Yeah.
But like you said, it goes back to if you don't have that full steady income, then it really is, it's hard.
Income and benefits. Like you need all of the things. You can't just have.
Don't get sick.
No. And then there's that. So yeah, it's a lot. But for me, I was very fortunate. I studied meteorology because I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, where everything hinges on the weather. You cannot plan anything outside because crap will happen.
Weather.
Yeah, crap will happen. So it's like, okay, this sucks. So let me see if I can control it.
Yeah.
Naturally, you can't, but I can learn about it. So I went to Penn State for meteorology, which at the time was like the number 1, number 2 school for meteorology. 1 in 4 meteorologists in the country graduated from Penn State. Rigorous, very difficult physics, math, science, nerd herd that I could not explain to anybody. I'm like, I don't know where these people came from. Like they were great. They were my people. They were my support. They were my help. They were my everything. So then they knew my direction. All of Penn State knew that I wanted to do this on TV. I like to be in front of people. I like to talk. I liked at that time to get dressed. I liked going to things and like doing, just like being, like a 20-year-old kid, All of Penn State knew that's what I wanted to do. So graduation time comes and I'm just throwing things everywhere. And I sent a VHS. You know VHS?
I do. We used to dub those into some of the discs in K-Pix.
Okay, so there you go. Yeah. Okay, so you know VHS. So I had a VHS reel or whatever you call it with a resume, and I sent it to like everywhere I could. And I got a phone call from Miami, which at the time was top 20 market.
Yeah.
And everybody at Penn State is like, what? Or they were like, oh my God, what? It was very split. Yeah, because you do need the time and the space to screw up. You do need the time and the space to grow. You do need the time and the space to get better.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you don't want to miss a big opportunity. Shoot your shot, right?
Yeah.
I took the advice of my parents, and I knew Miami well because we would vacation there. And it's like, no, you're going to go to Miami. Okay. I went. It was great. That's where I met my husband. And then he's like, I'm moving to Las Vegas. And I was all, I'll move to Philadelphia first. And then we'll see what happens there. And maybe I'll move to Las Vegas. But then obviously here I am 20 years later.
We'll unpack all of that. The Philadelphia, the Vegas part. But let's go back to kind of, like you said, shoot your shot, right? And you went straight to Miami, top 20 market. In the news industry, we're generally told that we got to go back in market size before we make it to the top 10 market, 20 market.
Well, that was then. Now I think it's way different.
It's a little bit different now, but still, I know that we had Isabella, who started at Channel 13 with us here, at the station. And she too had no small market experience. And she had a very hard time when she
it's not easy.
There, because again, I think that mentality of everybody, like, you didn't earn your stripes here.
Yeah.
So she we had to work with her and help her to kind of, you got this. And now she's also in Miami. So
you're kidding.
She's in Miami.
Oh, good for her.
Absolutely.
Great. No, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. You need mentors.
Yeah.
That's what that comes down to. And I had, no, really. I had mentors. I also was then like shipped off to week-long sessions with talent coaches. And talent coaches came to me. And I feel like in small markets, you wouldn't get that.
No.
In small markets, it's not available. But I guess because it was a larger market and they invested in me, it was something that I took advantage of. It was wonderful. It was great. It was hard and it was a lot of work and it was exhausting. And it got to the point where I was working mornings and then I had a stylist and, you're up at like 2 a.m. You work the whole day and then you have to go to the mall. I mean, this sounds great. You go to the mall with the stylist and you're trying on clothes and you don't get home until 6 p.m. And like you have to wind down somehow and then you just can't. And so you're up and you're just like awake and that part of it was very difficult and very draining.
That's a very different type of newsroom than the ones that we walk into right now.
Yeah. No, it's not the same.
You have been in this industry to kind of see it from the glory days and the heydays.
Well, that was even before my time. Yeah. That was when I was young watching TV news. Like, wow, look at these people. Mm-hmm. Like they're so professional and we trust them and they can say and do anything. And it's like, oh, I want to be that. Mm-hmm. And so I got there at the tail end of that.
Gotcha.
And I think I was the new era of, let's pick a young kid, pay a little less, but really offer a lot of things to help this person grow and see what can become of it. And it sounds all dandy if you have the energy of an Energizer bunny. Keep going, keep going, keep going. But at some point, you just have to be all, hold up. I had so many franchises at one point, I didn't know which end was up or where I was supposed to be. And then hurricane season hit in Miami. And it's like, well, that's my number one focus. You know, like that's what I'm here for. But you have me out in the Everglades on a boat, like trying to look cute. And I was doing fitness stuff. And it's like, there's a hurricane, guys. Like, make it make sense. So that was interesting. And then when my husband said he was moving to Las Vegas, I was all, So I had a talent agent, found a job for me in Philadelphia, and I worked there for a year. And also there, every weekend, Friday nights, I would go down the shore and do weather like live on the boardwalk, which was fun. Like that stuff is fun. And so I did that until we realized Las Vegas is where my husband needed to go for work. And so I had my talent agent still. And I'm like, hey, I'm moving to Las Vegas. And he's like, you're doing a what?
Well, why would you go back in market sizes?
Yeah, but it was lifestyle versus market size and huge pay cut. However, then I had stability and we knew we were going to have a family and we knew we were going to have children. And it was like, I'm not going to be able to work and do that because I can only focus. I cannot multitask. I'm not one of those people. I try and I fail. It's the truth. You know, I can only be good at so many things at one time, and I'm not going to raise humans and fail at that. I'm going to put everything I have into that. And so we knew, so it's like, okay, I'll come to Las Vegas and take a massive pay cut and take this job. And then I only worked a couple years doing that, and then I quit.
Let's talk a little bit about, again, the generations of different newsrooms that you've been in.
So different.
Because when you started, you had, like you said, you had the coaches, you had the wardrobe, hair, makeup, all of it. That is not what newsrooms right now look
all of
like.
it.
We don't have any of that in the newsroom, right? We don't have consultants.
Right.
We don't have wardrobe, hair, makeup.
No.
I think New York and LA may still have hair and makeup, but that's, I'm sure with budget cuts, that's going to be the next thing that's going to get cut out of the budget. Let's talk about that kind of that transition that you saw in the evolution of news over the years.
So a lot of that happened when I wasn't in news, that 10 years. So I came to so I had hair and makeup and wardrobe and everything in Miami. Philadelphia, same.
Mm-hmm.
I had a makeup artist in Philadelphia doing my makeup every day. In Miami, I didn't have that. I was doing my own makeup, but they would send me to makeup artists to learn how to do it.
Okay.
And buy all my things. So in Philadelphia, in fact, my makeup artist in Philadelphia did my makeup for my wedding.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's how much time you spend together. And she was just wonderful. So then from there, I came to Las Vegas. In Las Vegas, I still had an allowance for hair and makeup and clothes. And we had a stylist.
Wow.
And then when I quit and I came back 10 years later, it's like, oh, here's your per diem. And then I'm talking to all of you and they're like, oh, no, we don't have that anymore.
No allowance, no hair, no makeup.
Nothing.
No wardrobe allowance either. We were just talking about it with Toy too, you know, and we were saying we were making $28,000 a year in Lafayette, Louisiana. A
full-time job.
A full-time job. The first 2 years, I will say the first 2 years though, we did have, at the very least, Lafayette gave us a hair allowance and a wardrobe allowance. No makeup allowance though. So they had like partnerships that they were able to buy out with some local salons. But by year 2, all of that was taken away. All of that was taken away.
And
so
that was like a conglomerate. Were you owned by a larger?
Yeah, we were owned by Death Star first.
Oh, interesting. Because I feel like that plays into it too. Like, who is owner?
Yeah, but then, you know what? When I went from Louisiana to Kentucky, I got a pay bump, right? So we went from $28,000 a year to, I think it was like 56.
Oh, doubling?
Right? Doubling.
Okay.
But still, when you like count cost of living, it's still not what you should be making nearly enough. However, I asked for, hair, makeup, wardrobe allowance, anything. And they were like, no, because you get so much more money.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then were you criticized?
All the time.
Not by the public, but by your managers.
By the management. So what they did do, they did bring a makeup artist who came in and critiqued us on how we should, do our makeup and style our hair. But they didn't give us an allowance for it, right? They took us to MAC to show us what we could be using.
And then expected you to buy it.
And then expected us to buy it.
Wow.
On top of that, we also had stylists that came in and they would like style, like they fix do we have the right undergarments and stuff like that? Because their whole idea was we had to be 360 ready, right? No matter where the camera caught us, we had to look like we were polished,
Yeah,
so,
which is great when you have the resources to do that. Yeah, agree.
I think it was just the way that it was done, honestly. I think it was just it was like done in an email. All the women had to send in their bra sizes. It was just really, really weird.
Whoa.
Like if we're talking, but the news industry, right? Like I went from Lafayette, Louisiana, where you had like male executives coming in from these big corporations going around the room telling us which of us had good arms for TV and which of us had to cover our arms for TV.
Oh no, I never had any of that.
Yeah, so I feel like, this was just the norm to me in the industry, right? Like, okay, so we're going to send in our boob size.
That is the most bizarre thing I have ever heard. Like nope. No.
Welcome to the news industry. I swear we're not selling sex.
Like what? Oh my God, you poor thing. That's like traumatizing.
I think the most traumatizing was definitely Louisiana when they came and they got all the girls in the room and
not the men. Oh, because they wear jackets.
Because they wear jackets, just the women. And then they had us all wear like sleeveless so that they could look at our arms and tell us in front of all of us which ones had good arms and which ones didn't. And mine were always like on the cusp, right? Because I was like a size 6 when I got there. After stress, I was a size 2. So then I was okay to
best
be
arms.
Best arms. But
oh my God. Oh,
yeah.
Wow. I had no idea that.
So I think that plays into it too, right?
I can tell you that when I was in Miami, the very first time I was on air live, I was in a suit. And the general manager is like, why is she all covered up? But that was the extent of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't have to you don't have to dress like you're in the Northeast.
Okay.
Was how I took that. Like, we're a little more relaxed here, kind of a thing, which I like that too, because then I wanted to be myself and I'm not myself in a suit.
Yeah.
And for me,
I mean, what 20-year-old is? Let's be
like,
real.
Ew, I know. And it was weird because I kept saying, like, this is not who I am. So how am I supposed to be me when you have me looking like somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
I need to look like me in order for me to be me, which is why you hired me, kind of a thing. Yeah. So I appreciated that. I really did. And I'll never forget it. And that was like 25 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that the standards for beauty in the news industry have changed, right? Because I think that in the past, it used to be you had to have the short bob.
I had that. They made me do that.
Oh, really?
Oh, it was horrible. Short, like the newscaster haircut right out of college and in a suit. And I'm like, who? Like, ew. So now hair, color, a little more of authentic you.
Sure.
Instead of cookie cutter. This is how it's supposed to be. So I like that.
Yeah.
I really do. Some people take it to the extreme. I'm not down with the extreme. Like, I'm down with don't be cookie cutter and don't be totally you. Like, be somewhere in the middle that can appeal to everybody.
Professional.
Yeah.
Professional. I think that's the bottom line, right? Like we deal with so many different things. We have to be professional at the end of the day.
That's good.
But like you said, I think it's just there is that moment when you first started news. At least I had that same thing in Redding, California, where I cut my hair and I was like, not that I was told to, I will say that I wasn't told to, but it was just like when it was longer, they're like, well, it'll probably look better on TV if it's shorter. It wasn't like a mandate,
Yes.
And I do know that there are some Janes who are going to be listening to this and they're like, we had to have it like written out if we could change our hair color or if we can do any, like everything had to get pre-approved before.
There was that. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yes. Those contracts.
Yeah.
Those contracts.
Like we hired you on as a brunette with green eyes. You cannot be a blonde with
that,
that's what they were looking for. Sometimes it's whether it's a skin color or a hair color or eye color. They're very specific.
Yeah. Wow. I forgot about those contracts were long. I don't think they're long anymore. Are they?
No, I think now they just find loopholes just to kind of, because now it's very generalized. The scope of what you're doing. So they're not really looking at your polished appearance. They're more looking, can you take on 6 jobs of a newsroom?
Okay. So to that, I do remember when I was in Miami, morning news was like the place to be. That's when morning news was becoming like
the thing.
Yeah. Instead of like the evening, it was morning. And they added an extra half hour. Like the news originally, the morning news was 5:30 a.m. They added a 5. And they're like, oh, you now have to come in an hour earlier. And I was all, hold up. Like, where's the compensation for that?
Yeah.
Oh, no. This is just what you do. This is part of your deal.
I had such a roundabout way of starting in news because I didn't go to school for this, right? And so I started in San Francisco, and it was like by the grace of God that I got into this interview. And then through a friend of a friend twice removed, they were just like, somebody gave me a shot to go in for CBS radio. They didn't have a position, and they bumped my resume up to news. And news ended up emailing maybe like 6 months later, and I deleted the email, by the way. So I'm sorry for all the people that worked with me and didn't like me, that I still ended up opening that email eventually. So that's making a whole career out of this. But that's truly, right? Like, I deleted this. I was like, oh, this is totally spam.
Oh,
and
funny.
It wasn't spam.
Wow.
And so I emailed them back, and I remember walking into that newsroom, and they had everything, right? Like, this was San Francisco. This is a top 10 market. They've got cameras, they've got big TVs over here, this, that. And I've never been inside a newsroom. I didn't know what this was. And my first boss that I worked with, he looked at my resume and goes, you have no business being in a newsroom.
I remember you telling me this.
And I was like, yes, you're right. I said, but I write. I'm a writer. I said, and I have a very good work ethic. And there's nothing that you can throw at me that I will not be able to do. And I didn't have a car at this point, right? Because I wasn't able to get a driver's license yet with my immigration status. So I was taking public transport at 3 a.m. to get to the station in San Francisco, of all places. Okay. Which is, this is not like New York City. This is not like you have a train station that's 24/7 and you can get everywhere. This was scary. This was like you're taking a 2-hour bus ride to go all the way through every part of the city, picking up a lot of people, and then another 15-20-minute walk in the dark to get to the station. And if you've been in San Francisco, you know it's not the most pleasant of places.
Right.
Even broad daylight
now.
sometimes, right? It's just gotten dangerous. It is what it is. I love the experience, though. I worked my way in there. I said, I will prove you wrong. And that same manager ended up being the manager that I put down as a reference for every single station moving forward. Because, I mean, he saw me literally go from, bringing coffee and scripts to the anchors.
And VHS tapes.
And doing all this stuff to go into the assignment desk. On the assignment desk is where I had the reporter friends that I made who are like, you're actually really good. You should try the field. And I was like, no.
And then look.
Yeah, well, they got me out there, but this was not like this, okay? I didn't even know what I was doing. They had me doing stand-ups. I didn't know what a stand-up was, right? They're like,
same thing with
just
me in
stand
Miami.
there and record. That's it. I had no clue about live shots. I didn't know how to write a package when I first got into my first market.
And I still don't.
I learned everything. But we went from technology and places and people and resources to me going to Redding, California, working in a bureau. Okay. And for anybody who doesn't know, it's like this, it was a room that was smaller than a room that you would have in your home.
We had
like 2 little TVs that stood next to a window that we'd have to like blind out, to like black out the windows at night, set up our own camera gear. And that's what we would do live shots in. And I remember friends who came to visit me had never seen a newsroom before. And I was like, let me take you to my bureau.
Oh, no. Oh, and they were
They were like, I'm sorry.
No
is this
need.
what news looks like?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, but I guess so.
Oh, my
Because
God.
again, I went from all these resources to no resources. I didn't know what the industry looked like.
Right.
So I was only in Redding, honestly, for like 2-3 months.
Long
enough. I had no contract. That was also a spot that didn't do contracts. That was interesting. But I went straight from there to Lafayette, Louisiana. And Lafayette, Louisiana is where I got my chops, honestly. I was like, this is it. I know what I'm doing. Well, I didn't know what I was doing, but we learned how to do everything on the job.
How long were you there?
Almost 3 years in Louisiana.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we talk about it with Toy on the podcast episode. We started that station from the ground up. Okay. Even then, we had 3 MMJs. It was me, Toy, and Phil.
So MMJing was a thing then.
That was it.
Because that never existed.
We had zero photographers in the newsroom at that point. And we had photographers that I knew. We had no camera operators in San Francisco. We had camera operators here, right? Because this was an old school newsroom still.
So it wasn't automated.
It wasn't automated.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So everything was so different, right? So again, you're going from like setting up your own shot in front of a window for live shots to no photographers, only MMJs. We're teaching each other, honestly. And when we walked in, the newsroom had no walls, like practically, because the newsroom was still being built. The studio and set was still being built. So when we talk about grassroots and we talk about like building from the ground up, we really were building from the ground up.
And that was appealing to you, or you just wanted to leave?
I didn't know what we were doing, honestly. I think that Reading, there was no guidance in Reading. Where I went from like San Francisco and having a lot of people who just were there on boots on the ground, could either explain to you or help you, mentors.
Yeah.
It was me and another reporter. And she didn't like that there was another person there because she wanted to get all the top stories. Right. And I came from a really good reporter who was my mentor, or two of my mentors who were just like, okay, this is what you do. This is what you do.
Yeah.
And so I would. And sometimes I get the story before she would. And she did not like that.
Ew. Whoops.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. 2-3 months of that and you're done.
2-3 months of that, I was done, which then that also made her mad because she wanted to leave. It was a whole thing. But it worked out. It worked out, right? Like I did my 3 years in Louisiana, and I don't know that if you told me what was going to go into Louisiana, that I would have said yes. You know? But I think because I didn't know, and the way that it was presented was like, we have this great team coming on board, and we did. We truly did, Gina. Like that was the thing. I've never worked in a newsroom like that again. And I don't know that newsrooms like that exist anymore, where we had to teach each other everything. Like I was cross-trained on the director's board. I was cross-trained on audio. I was cross-trained.
Whoa, you do mean everything.
I mean everything. Because when we had audio people who couldn't make it during storm coverage, like, you know, we had one anchor here, the other anchor went into the back, and we were taught that. But we also had the youngest newsroom in Lafayette, Louisiana, where we worked. And so that came with a whole other slew of problems, right? Like we had people who didn't want to see me there. And they were like, well, we have 10 years of experience in this industry. And okay, but can you teach me? And if you can't, then I'm just going to learn from people who want to teach me, you know? And so you ended up with a lot of that kind of stuff.
If I did experience that, I blocked it out because I don't ever remember feeling that or having that. In fact, when I was in Miami, I was the chief meteorologist there, and his family had me over for dinner, like fully embraced me. And it was, I feel like that's every spot I went. But I can see why that is. And I did see it with some other anchors and reporters, maybe because weather's different.
Maybe.
I don't know how.
Because there's only a few of you guys.
Yeah.
Right? So like you guys have to almost be tight-knit.
Yeah. Maybe that's a revelation.
Maybe.
Interesting.
Because again, there wasn't a competition between the MMJs. We leaned on each other left and right. You know, like we knew we were in the trenches. We knew we were all learning. Yeah. And we all had something to prove. Yeah. Because we were in a market where we were competing against flagship stations, you know, that like had legacy there and had people who are watching and they're like, who are these buffoons going on here? Right. But we were kicking the competition's ass left and right. And so that's what kind of kept us fueled. It was more the inside drama that we had that was kind of bigger, you know? But like you, I had people in that newsroom too who were family and
you need to have that camaraderie, and you need to have, honestly, I feel in everything you do, you have to have a mentor.
Everything.
And even now in motherhood, I have mentors. They tell me what to do, they tell me how to do it, and this is what we're doing. And I listen to that.
Yeah.
And before I quit, when I had my oldest daughter, I asked every woman I knew who I worked with, all my relatives, if you had the choice, would you work and be a mother, or would you only be a mother, which is work in itself? Every one of them said to be a mother.
Really?
Every one of them. There wasn't one who didn't say the opposite. And these were working women and, you know, some of my family who their job is to be a mom. And I just was fascinated by that because it is a job. But then you also have to be able to do that, you know?
But that's so countercultural to our newsroom, like mentality, because in the newsroom, it's not encouraged to have a family.
No,
it's not encouraged.
You can't. I mean, you can.
You can but now, but it's still hard. My hat is off to my friends who are moms and in the newsroom.
Yeah, I don't know how physically it's exhausting, mentally it's exhausting, in all the ways it's exhausting. And then you're supposed to do it well. And you're supposed to do this job like you don't have a family, and then raise your family like you don't have a job. And I don't know how, like I said, I cannot multitask. I drive a minivan.
I love your life.
Thanks.
I love your life. And I think you love your life now too, though.
I do.
Do you think that in the time that when you were in news, you would have done it differently? Or do you think
I think about that a lot, but I think I'm in, like we're all where we're meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
In the moment, things really suck sometimes or are really awesome. And then that next moment comes that's like the polar opposite of that. So all of those things have made you who you are. And I wouldn't be here with you right now if, every moment hinges on the past. And so it's like, you can't say, I wouldn't do it differently. There's no, should I not have taken this big job in Miami from college? No. Then my life wouldn't be what it is right now. Right. I wouldn't have any of this. And I think this is all pretty great. Some days are not so great, but then like the next day comes, like the sun's going to set and the sun's going to rise, and I'm just going to keep going. So I don't know. You?
No, I think every experience I've had and every job I've had has led me to the next one,
Right.
And so whether it was a small job or a big job, somehow they all kind of make up the sum of who I am.
Right. That's the thing. And so when you're asked, like, do you regret or would you do things differently? Then I wouldn't be answering that question. I mean, that's just my perspective. Everybody, of course, is different, but my perspective is no, like, this is where I was supposed to be. I'm supposed to be right here, right now.
How did you handle the motherhood of this, the job and knowing that you wanted to be a mom? Because again, I know so many women who get in this industry and they're like, it's just it's not talked about that you should have a job or you shouldn't have a kid in this industry, but it's almost the females in this industry don't want kids, and that's right. Some of them, right? Like we've taken on this role of we don't want that.
Right. One of my very best friends
are almost villainized.
Yeah, because I can tell you that my very best friend, in the grand scheme of things, has had I want my wedding to be like this since she was little. She's never had any of that. And she does get jealous of people who are on maternity leave. Mm-hmm. Well, what about me? Just because I didn't have a kid, does that mean that I don't get a maternity leave? And I have to say that I agree with her, and like, oh, I'm going to again contribute for the baby shower. Well, like, what about me? I'm not going to have a baby shower. So what am I supposed to do? And I see her perspective, and that sucks, especially because she wants it. And I want that for her too. But at the same time, like we are where we are and we're supposed to be right here. It's weird. I think it's a very weird dynamic. And for me, I had to choose the path that worked best for what we wanted, me and my husband.
And so you always knew you wanted kids?
Yeah. Yeah. Did I think that I'd be good at it? No. Am I good at it? Probably not. I think I'm all right at it. I do my best.
That's it. That's all you can do. I also watch like friends of mine who have had to almost choose whether or not they wanted to be a mom or if it was worth it in the industry, because they want to keep pursuing that career, right? And so you're kind of at this crossroads of, dang, I want that life, but at the moment I can't have that life.
Right.
And you really are at this crossroads of, can I do both things at the same time and do them well?
My answer is no. Knowing me. Other people, maybe they can. But for me, I was like, I cannot do that.
I think we've glamorized hustle culture in this day and age. Yeah. And we put people on a pedestal who are, burnt out to the max. And like, we just keep saying, keep going, keep going.
No.
That's not good for postpartum. That's not good for the longevity even of newsrooms.
No, frankly. Agree. And so you would have to have a very supportive spouse who either is the stay-at-home or is able to be at home, because TV news, you have to spend the time there. Yeah. It's not like you can go do something and leave. You have to be there like for every newscast. Although there is a nice break that I would have when I worked nights.
Yes, if you are anchoring. But if you're reporting, then you're out in the field.
I I don't know about
You're on the grind. You're on the time schedule.
Yeah,
and
no.
You have to just prepare the story for the newscast, right? And so there is no
that wasn't
time to go home.
So when we first moved to Las Vegas and I was working nights, my husband and I, on the days that he wasn't working, would go to like really great dinners.
No.
Really on the dinner break. And I'm like, what a nice life this is. Nice dinners. And he would pick me up and then drive me back to work. And then I'd leave after the 11 o'clock. It was great. I forgot.
Yeah, we don't. Right now, our budgets are so tight that we're just happy if we can get some McDonald's in. During the lunch break or El Pollo Loco.
El Pollo Loco. That's one of my favorites. It used to be better. I feel like the quality has gone down.
Oh, I don't know. I was introduced to it here in Vegas, and so I think it's great all around.
Oh,
although they did gyp me on some of my chicken tacos the other day.
In what way?
They just didn't put enough chicken in there.
Like,
opened it and it was just like,
yeah, that's what I mean. It's not as good as it used to be. I would get that on my way to work on the days that my husband was working. Yeah, but when he wasn't working, I was not getting. And then we call it EPL because that's the way it shows up on your credit card statement. And I remember looking at him like, "What is EPL?" And he's like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "There's some really weird charges here for like $7.99 and like blah blah blah." And then finally we figured out it's like, "Oh, El Pollo Loco." It's EPL on your credit card.
on your credit card statement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But not as good. So yeah, I did forget about anchor. Yes, anchoring is very different. And then those who have children, I really think are treated differently. For better or worse. For me, it was better. There was one day that I was asked to fill in on the weekend. And I'm like, look, I don't have my babysitter then and my husband's working. I'm bringing my kid to work. And she came.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat her right next to the chroma key and she started crying as I was doing the weather. And I'm like, hang on air, picked her up and just finished what I was doing with her because what else did you want me to do? And they were okay with it. Not a problem. And then even at most recently where we worked, I would bring them, my three. They've been on the news. They've been on the anchor desk with me. I think it was on Mother's Day. I brought them. I'm like, yeah, come. Why not? Because we're going to Mother's Day brunch after this. So what else?
Might as well have them there.
Yeah. So they came. But yeah, there are more perks you get, I think, in my case, for having children. I had maternity leave. I had baby shower. What are you guys getting?
I don't know. But I mean, they don't do baby showers for everyone, though. I think that had to be your station kind of.
Oh, yeah.
Because we don't do baby showers for people.
Oh, maybe that's changing. Okay, so my oldest is 17, so yeah. Let me go. Okay, yeah.
We don't have the budget for anything now.
No, there used to be really nice holiday Christmas parties. Really nice parties. And no.
Our holiday party was in the newsroom.
Was I there?
I don't know. It was during the same time everybody's working, so.
Oh. I might have been there, I might not. I don't know. Was I don't know. But yeah, there used to be really nice, like here when I first came in Las Vegas, everybody was dressed on a Saturday night. In Philadelphia, beautiful parties for Christmas. In Miami, it started changing.
Okay.
And there were nice parties, and then it was like, then it went to a parking lot picnic. And we're like, yeah, that's when things started changing. So I think, I mean, even though I just went backward in time, Miami, when I got there as a 22-year-old, was not the same industry as when I was growing up. Like the heyday of everything. And so I was a little surprised, taken aback. Still, it was great for me.
So let's go back to where the industry was to where it is today, because you've kind of seen the evolution of news and the way that we have plucked a lot of these services, a lot of these perks and behind the scenes things.
And people.
Away. And people most of all.
Oh,
that's
the fact that there is not a floor director. I was watching one of the other stations the other day while my car was being washed. I was running it through. And the anchor was looking over here when the shot was coming from over here. And I'm like, oh my God, they don't have a floor director.
No.
Like, wait. How can you take that seriously? I couldn't.
I mean, But you're talking about floor directors. We're talking about, we used to have whole camera crews. We used to have an audio person, a cameraman. We used to have an editor, right? And you would be there to do. We are now doing it. We are MM Janes or MM Joes or, whatever you want to call this, multimedia journalists. We do it all.
I didn't. I had a producer myself when I was in Philadelphia. Had all my maps ready for me. Yeah. In addition to having my whole face and hair done. So it's and things are more expensive. I just don't get it. Like, none of this makes sense. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. Is this appealing to younger generation? Is TV news appealing to anybody now?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think that's, the podcast came about because I feel like, one, there's a mass exodus of people leaving the industry because they're overworked, burned out, and they're saying hustle culture is just not something I want to continue to buy into.
Good.
Because, like you said, you've got people that are being plucked out of jobs, and so now those jobs still have to get filled, but they're going to get filled with one person instead of four.
Yeah.
But you still see people and stations hiring, right? And so,
who are they hiring?
People right out of college, very green, very inexperienced, kind of like where you were.
Yeah, true. So my husband's coworker, his son, smart guy, wants to go into TV news. And he called me and we had an hour-long conversation about why he should not choose this. Well, what am I going to do? I don't know. But this is not the answer. Unless you come from wealth and abundance and somebody else can afford this lifestyle for you, it doesn't work. And it sucks because we need to hear the voices. We need to hear the perspective. We need to hear like the different ways of telling a story. And you can't do that if you're getting all of these kids coming from all of the stuff because their perspective is all right here when the whole world is so different, you know? So I really wonder like how this is going to change the lack of resources, the lack of all of it, how this will change how news is presented. Will it just be from one perspective?
I mean, we're talking about AI, right? Which is good and bad. I like AI in terms of helping me with being an entrepreneur and getting things done, captions for clients. And it helps because I'm one person and I would need more people to do this. And so AI helps. But in the sense of a newsroom, we've seen it not do so well for us.
No kidding.
Right? Like, there's a lot of error. We've tried to do recorded newscasts and we've seen how that's played out, right? Like we have outtakes that shouldn't be in there that end up playing on live TV.
Yes.
We're overworked, we're understaffed, and the budget, frankly, is not there.
Which doesn't make sense. I don't understand that.
So, or the budget's there for maybe the upper guys, but not the lower guys.
Yeah, because it's there, but it's just not allotted to where it needs to be. Which, I mean, how do you change that? I don't know.
I don't know. What do you think? Where do you think the industry's headed? What do you think you're going to see in the next couple of years?
I don't ever have my TV on. We never have TV news on, ever. Are my kids aware of it? Yeah, because I did it. Did they watch it? Yeah, because I was on it. Do they do it now? No. Do their classmates? I don't think. There was one time when my oldest daughter showed me a text that she got from a friend. And it was a picture of me. And then her friend's like, this lady really looks like your mom. That's when I was at work and it was me. And she's like, yeah, because it is my mom, duh. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that was just like a flash, like I don't know. Will it all be online? Will TV not exist? And we're just all watching everybody on the internet doing the news? Probably. But then I have Twitter and that's where I get my news.
Okay.
I mean, it's not called Twitter, but
I don't even have that. I'm all
How do you get your news?
Instagram.
Oh,
actually, I unfollowed a lot of the news stations.
Yeah, there's no need.
I don't want to be inundated with it.
Yeah.
There's so much going on in this world, and a lot of it, one, we can't help, and two, if I continue to feed into just the beast of everyone being mad and this side and that side and this and the
don't need it.
I did it for 9 years, almost a decade.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it anymore.
I agree.
There are different struggles that I find as an entrepreneur, right? Like there are different things that make me cry. But it's definitely not the cycles of news anymore, or the amount of intake of trauma that you're taking in, or the amount of people that you're telling stories of, but there's no resources to help them. So it's different kinds of struggles now, right? Like it's working and figuring out how to get another client, or kind of what entrepreneurship looks like, and
right.
Like you said, healthcare, or how to pay the bills, or 1 month is you're up here, the next month you're just like, wow, okay, I did not see that coming.
No, the stability of the lifestyle.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
But even then, I feel like there's a lot of people in the newsroom that we're going to have on this podcast too, and that stability, they don't go into work thinking that they have stability, because they're worried for their jobs. They're worried.
But I think that's a constant in TV news.
Is it?
Don't we all feel like that?
Yeah, but we see that more and more, right?
Yeah, and it's not because of the quality that you're producing. It's because your job has been eliminated, which I think is the difference. Before, I think for a position, there were
qualifications,
and there were a lot of qualified individuals who were applying. Now, you can be a TikToker and get a job as a journalist. And to me, that doesn't make sense. Maybe because I'm older. I don't know. But where's the qualifications for that? And is that like your pool? Is that all you're getting? Are these people who are doing that? I just don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. So Toy, we had a great conversation. He and I worked in Lafayette together, and he's got his PhD. He's back in his alma mater in New Orleans right now, and he's teaching multimedia journalists, upcoming kids. But one of the things that he pointed out was a lot of them aren't looking to go into journalism. They're just looking to get their chops in, to understand how to do videography, how to storytell. Because one of the things that we did talk about was a lot of these companies are still looking for the skills that we have as journalists that are very transferable from
which is great,
one industry to the next.
And that is wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And who knew? First of all, I don't think I was taught I never was taught any of that stuff. I was doing equations, as a meteorologist. So going to a newsroom for the first time and seeing that dynamic, I had no idea what was going on. No idea. Yeah. I only knew how to do my equations and maybe be eloquent and tell you about it. So all of that learning in the process was very beneficial, because I had never seen that, and I had never been taught that, and I had never been told about it, which I think would have helped, really. So then what Toy is doing is showing and telling that all of these skills are able to be used outside of a TV station. That's huge. You need somebody to tell you that, I think.
But I think these kids, like you were saying, what are kids really still interested in journalism? I think that there is still a group of people out there who definitely want to be on TV. There is still that novelty of...
Is that a thing, though? I don't know.
I don't know that it's as much of a thing, but I think it's still there. I think there's still that appeal.
Or like a broadcast.
A broadcast. Or like a stepping stone into their next TV job, right? I think a lot of people don't realize that there's not that much crossover from like local TV news to, let's say, like your TMZ, right? Like we don't have those kind of contacts. That's a very different type of industry. But you see how, like, I think maybe some people are thinking if we go this route, we'll go that route. And maybe there is in the college spectrum, right? Where you're kind of teaching it on a broader scale. But in the news industry, we're not going to be dealing with much of like entertainment news and things like that as much as we are with the nitty gritty and the brutal stuff.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
And that could just be me speculating, but I'm thinking...
Well, no, that's good. Like to say these things out loud.
Yeah.
And to think about it. It's interesting. I don't know. I really wonder. I have no idea. I just know that my kids love TikTok, Instagram crap, all that stuff. So do they watch news ever? No. Do I watch news ever? Will I? Why? I read it before it's on because I love Twitter. I do.
I love that for you.
I do. Like if I want to read more, I'll click.
Yeah.
But just give me the headline. And if I'm interested in the story, let me read it I don't want to hear any more voices. I don't need any of that. Like, let me read it and internalize it myself. I don't want to hear your inflection. I don't want to hear like your judgment and your voice. Just let me read. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that. But kids, I don't know.
See, and I feel like what I was doing in news too, I like the long format storytelling.
Oh, so yeah, I remember that.
I'm very much more like I want to be working with like Netflix documentaries more than I want to be doing.
Wait, I remember you were doing a whole series on something.
We did the Atomic Fallout series, the one that won me the Emmy.
That's it. I remember that. Okay, now it's all coming back.
We had drone footage that we did.
That's right.
You know, but again, but even getting that together and getting that done with the newsroom, it was like fight. Pulling teeth.
You had to fight. I remember you pulling. Yes, I remember you fighting for yourself, fighting for the story, fighting for the idea. I remember all of that. And yeah, that's what you have to do. Mm-hmm. And you did.
I did. And I'm glad that I had some really great people in my corner who fought with me for that story because, I mean, that newsroom wanted to kill that story left and right.
Yeah.
Left and right.
Right. Whoa. Yeah.
Wow. And then we got the Emmy and then we got everybody together after that. It was a spectacular moment, you know, and I'm glad that I didn't back down from it. And I think that's kind of the thing that we were talking about with Toy as well. It's in my 20s, I think I would have been more open to just being like, okay, what do you need me to do?
Of course.
My 30s, I stood up for when we wanted to send out a reporter on the weekend and a manager was like, we're going to send her at 8:00 to go do a door knock where a guy just got shot for doing a door knock. And I was like, that is stupid. Mm-hmm. Like, I have no words for that. You know, like there's no reason to be putting people's lives at risk. Mm-hmm. And so I think in my 20s, again, I would have been the first one to be like, let me swing out of an airplane. And I've done that.
Of course you would.
Of course you would. But you don't do that in your 30s, right? And then when you're thinking about what is next after news, or is the money and what we're doing, is it fueling that purpose? Is it filling and is it helping people, you know? And so I felt very passionately about that Atomic Fallout series.
I remember this.
It was really great. And those stories, we had so many things that we wanted to do and so many things that I had brought over to corporate. And it just died there. You know, it's kind of, you're hopeful. And then it just, so yeah. Maybe one day we'll be on Netflix documentaries instead, but.
Yes, girl. But instead we're sitting right here.
Instead we're here for now.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah. But, which is good. This stuff needs to be said out loud.
Yeah.
So
fight for those stories.
We can say it.
Fight for the stories. Fight for yourself and fight for your safety, for your rights, for your pay, for everything, because this,
for your sanity.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, because this can make you crazy. Mm-hmm. It really can. Of do this, look like this. Well, I don't even know. Does that exist anymore? Look like this? Yeah. And then it's just like, you go nuts. You do. Until you're able to say, oh. And that does not happen in your 20s.
No. So I'm thankful for my 30s wisdom.
Yeah.
On that for sure.
Just wait till the 40s, girl.
Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that the latter half of my 30s brings me a child, you know, and maybe a husband.
All right.
Maybe sprinkle some of that in there, but
we'll have a little baby shower.
We could. Yeah. Now that we're, you know, on a different budget.
Right. Yes, we can. I can fill my minivan with balloons.
I love it. Uh-huh. I think, you know, I had this idea also, like we talked about kids and, I think for so long when I was in the news industry, I just wanted to keep grinding and keep going. And I just wanted to get to that top 10, top 15 market. Yeah. Right. And I wasn't stopping for kids. I wasn't stopping for marriage. And then when I did get married, I did not have a supportive spouse and it was a disaster and it almost cost me my career.
And other things.
above all else. But I think that this time around when I was back in news, I think there was a way that I thought I would leave news. You know, I was like, okay, I'm going to have kids by the time I leave and this and that. None of that happened.
No.
And I think that we have to be okay with some of those transitions. Although it didn't feel okay in this last year and a half. You know, I think as I speak to more and more journalists who kind of made that jump and transition, there's an expectation we have of the life we wanted than the life that we actually have. And that in-between space
sucks.
I
know. But we all live it. And it makes you, again, who you are. It puts you where you are. But the in-between blows. But there's no way around it. You have to go through it to get to the other side. How long is he in between? Who knows? That's the part that's really scary and really sucks, because if you could put a time limit on it and say, oh, I know this will only be for a certain amount of months, years, then it would feel maybe a little better. But because we don't have that, then it really is just the worst feeling. But everybody goes through it.
And I feel like here's other end of, I think the other spectrum of that is if you're in a newsroom and you're kind of, that you are at the tail end of your contract, or it's a shitty situation, and you're just like, you're praying. That's not an easy situation either, right? Because you're still waking up, you still have to show your best, you still have to show up in the way that you don't necessarily want to or even have the energy to. And that's hard. That's just as hard.
So
it's
hard.
Just as hard.
It's so mentally exhausting.
Right. Because you're locked in and you can't get out.
Right.
It's like a prison.
Yeah. Yeah. So the contracts still exist. That needs to change.
We can talk about our old station and kind of, the year prior to me getting let go. It was funny because I tried to get out of my contract when we had that change of management. And they were like, no, we're sticking you to your contract. Okay.
Yeah. Why do I remember this? Was I there for that?
You were there for that.
I was there for that. I remember this.
But then when I became a problem for sticking up, and it was like, well, actually no longer.
Yeah. I remember that. Oh my God.
So I think companies get very creative on how to let people go. I think
of course.
Companies get very creative on how to
save money.
So
make you pay
all of that. And I think the reason why this podcast exists, honestly, is because this last year and a half since I've gotten let go, so many of the people that we worked with would call me who still had their job. We're like, how do I get fired? I don't know. I didn't do this on purpose.
Right.
Like, if anything, I would talk to you and you're like, whatever you do, don't quit.
Right. Do not
quit.
Do not, because then they owe you nothing.
Yeah.
But if you're fired, they will owe you something. And that's the path you have to take. And I don't think that's ever, I think I just spit. I don't think anybody ever says that out loud. You need to be taught that.
You do need to be taught that. And I think also the other part of that is because of the way that our pay is set up, a lot of us don't have the capacity to even hire a lawyer. Or to even go up against the corporation.
How would you know how to do that?
Right. And so I think, again, where this podcast came from was one, the mental health status of like, if you're in that in-between phase of leaving and trying to figure out what's next, or getting stuck in a contract and you're like, this is a death sentence.
Yeah.
Or you've been let go and you're kind of looking into this. There's a lot of things at play here that we should be getting compensated for after getting let go. We don't know where to start.
Right.
And that battle seems so much bigger. That Goliath is massive.
Yeah, it is. But then again, you have to find a mentor.
Yeah.
You have to find somebody who knows something,
who
is willing to help and talk about it. So this is great, so that we're able to say what I've told you in private, which is do not quit, get fired. It's just so important.
But frankly, I also didn't get fired because I was trying to. I also want to make that clear, I
absolutely
think
there
was a time when I definitely considered what
everybody goes through that.
What could I do to get myself fired?
No, but you did not intentionally. No, but what I'm saying is the legal side of things, in order to benefit somehow from this shitty situation that a corporation counts you as a number, but you have a life and you are a person. So you need to somehow make this work as best you can. Yeah. So you will not quit.
No, do not quit, because it doesn't help you in the end.
No.
But I mean, people were calling me. How do I get fired? What kind of resources, what kind of lawyers? Did you talk to a lawyer?
Right.
And I didn't. I did not consult a lawyer until very recently when I started looking for resources. And then it happened that a lot of my friends in this industry the company started to come after them who left this industry. And
you were telling me that.
They're not even in news anymore. And the company is trying to go after them for like $1,500, $2,000. Like, are we kidding right now?
No, I don't understand it.
And so I think that's what really sparked up this conversation again of we are now getting so petty in this industry that it's time to fight back as journalists.
Yes, agree. Especially because you have done 10 jobs while you were employed. It's not like you were just doing the one job that you signed up to do. Oh, do this too. Oh, do this too. oh, do this too. And now, no, oh my God. When you told me that.
We'll have people on the podcast who can talk to that.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about that.
But it's, again, it's a very interesting industry that we were in. I'm so thankful for all my time there.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it earlier coming here. Like when I am in that weather wall, chroma key, green screen, whatever it's called now, I lose all sense of time. I am so happy in that space and in that moment that it like transports me somewhere else for the 2.5 minutes that I get to talk about the weather. I loved it. I love it. Yeah. I can't do that anywhere else. I don't get that rush. I don't get that fulfillment, enjoyment. And I can't explain what it is, but it's just putting everything that I learned, science, math, all that shit that I didn't think mattered, but I knew would get me to the end goal. I can use all of that still. I'm 47. I learned that stuff when I was 18. And it came back to me and I can still use it and I can teach people things with it. And it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, I know why it's doing that. So then let me put it into words you can understand at home. And then maybe you'll learn something too. And honestly, that 2.5 minutes that I would get were my favorite 2.5 minutes of the day. In a newscast, in a studio.
There is something that happens, whether it's you're working on the story behind the scenes or you're working on the story on air. You can't explain it to the general public. Whether it's that 10-second hit that you have for that live shot, right? And you have to nail every word and you have to look like you understand what you're saying.
And the adrenaline that goes into it. Yeah.
And then you've got somebody screaming in your ear and they're counting you down and like all of it, you know? And then, or you're in a situation like, you know, when I would do live shots in Louisiana in front of a levee breach, right? And like you're in the middle of this entire scene that's chaotic and you're just like, we're here and you're trying to, like, you're thinking and you're in the middle of the elements and you're like, you never know what you're going to get. And I think that was the other thing that you don't get out of a regular job. You never know what you're going to encounter in news.
And live. Because now there's all that recorded crap.
Yeah.
I can't handle. That's not the same sensation. It's not the same anything versus in the moment. We know this is live.
I mean, where else can you do live coverage and then fall into a ditch like I did during Hurricane Harvey on live TV? Like normally that would just get edited out, but like this was live TV. I forgot that there was these ditches in Louisiana between the roads because that's where the water would pool to kind of help with some of the water and the flooding. But during hurricane season, it still floods. And so I was trying to do a show and tell. It is 5 a.m, pitch black outside. It starts pouring on us right before we started doing this live shot. And I'm trying to walk to this stop sign. That was all I needed to do. Literally 4 steps. And in 4 steps, I went down.
Did you laugh? Like, what'd you do? Cry?
I didn't even know I didn't know what was happening.
Stunned?
I was like, well, you step forward and I'm like, and I felt my foot just go down and I was like, oh, fuck. Right. But I can't say that on air. So you have to like, you know, keep your composure.
Right, I know.
I'm telling people don't do exactly what I just freaking did.
Oh, yeah,
Be safe.
No,
don't
stay in your house.
You know, stay in your house. Don't go out there. Be careful with the elements.
Oh my God.
I got right up, and if it wasn't for all the equipment that failed in that shot because it got wet along with me with that lavalier, I would have finished that live shot.
Yeah.
But you hear in the background, and I'll bump this up because I do have a clip of this, and I'll add it here. You hear the audio and the guys in the studio, the studio operators going, "She fell in, she fell in."
Oh my God, I want to hear it. I need to hear that.
You'll see it. I clip it in. I'm gonna put it in this episode, and I'll clip it in the one for the mental health coach because again, that's the job.
Yeah,
that's the job.
Do it.
You never know what the job is going to take you on, right? Like during hurricane and flood coverage, I mean, there were some parts where we would take a boat to get to the next one. Then you'd get a four-wheeler to get to other people, and it's just. You never knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
Never.
Which is why it's appealing to people like you and me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess then this would always be on the forefront of someone's career list, right? Like you have to, there's something about it that you can't get somewhere else.
Sure.
I mean, where can you get that?
You can't. But again, like we go back to now, everything's pre-recorded. So you're not going to get a lot of that now. Right? Like you're still going to edit a lot of that out because you don't want to show the public that you don't.
But maybe you don't want to edit it out. Maybe it's like, this is me doing this job.
Maybe.
I wouldn't.
Maybe.
But I'm a different breed.
I think in another lifetime, I'm going to be a storm chaser. Like I loved storm chasing.
Oh.
I think that my adrenaline, the sad stories and the emotional stories I get because I just, been through my own stuff. And so I trauma bond with people.
Yeah, human.
Which is why I can do, emotional stories well. But storm coverage, 10 out of 10, put me out there, coach. I am chasing the funnel. If it's a tornado, I am in the middle of the hurricane.
Interesting.
Oh, love it. Love it.
Huh.
Love it. Like Twisters, I was just watching it. I'm like,
oh, wow.
Like I just want to be out there.
No, I want to be in that map and I want to point to it and I want to explain it.
No, I want to be all the way out there.
Well, then this is why we're like a yin and yang. Right? Yeah. Like yes and no. Black and white.
You need both.
Yeah.
You need both because you need the person telling us where to go.
Right.
I think that was like the best times because we really had to work with the meteorologist who would tell us it's heading this way. It's heading this way. You're going this way.
Right. And I like directing. I don't want somebody directing me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I don't know that I knew that about you.
Yeah. I did. I loved weather coverage.
Me too,
also,
but
I like
reasons.
weather coverage here. But
whoop. Ding dong.
We lost the light.
Oopsies.
But on that note, I think we have a great episode, Gina.
Me too. Thanks.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I hope like the little tidbits help someone.
Yeah.
Somewhere that we said the things out loud that nobody else was saying or told me. Like, tell me the stuff. Why do we have to keep it all secret?
Oh, yeah. Well, that is the news. That is the news way. The mystery of news.
Not now, not here, not in this honeypot.
No. In this honeypot, things get sticky.
Yes! Yeah, sick too. That was good.
Well, on that note, you guys, thank you for listening to the honeypot. Until next time, we're going to be back again next Thursday with another episode of the honeypot. Gina, thank you.
Thank you. This was great.
Welcome back. Time now 5:48 on this Wednesday morning. Paulina Bucka is tracking Harvey right now in Intracoastal City in Vermilion Parish.
This water, I don't know if Megan's going to be able to show you really right now because it's just a little bit dark, but there's a lot of debris in the water. So if you're on the roadways, be careful, slow down. There are pools of water. There's debris in the water. And if you're starting to hit pockets of water, be careful because you don't actually know how deep they are. We're standing here right now almost ankle deep, but just a second over here right next to this. There you go. You see?
She fell in the water. She fell.
All right. It proves the point exactly. You don't know how deep the water is, so try to avoid walking in it.
A special thanks to our Hive sponsors, Madrella Law Firm, TrueCore Wellness, Metamorphosis. Need real-time guidance beyond the mic? Head over to our Patreon. There you'll find Madrella Law Firm, offering insider legal advice for journalists, creators, and entrepreneurs. And TrueCore Wellness, sharing mental health and body healing practices for the heart behind the hustle. Your support turns words into healing and stories into honey.